Middletown High School for this evening's unexpected home game against the Washingtonville Wizards. It's a beautiful football evening here at Fowler, so if you're nearby over at Middletown High School, head on over for an important clash between the Wizards and the Midi Bears. This is essentially playoff football for Middletown. They need to win their next two against Washingtonville and Valley Central next week during homecoming in order to make the Section 9 Class AA playoffs, the top four teams in the division make the playoffs. And right now the Midi Bears are just outside at fifth place behind Kingston. Both teams have the same number of losses. Kingston one game better. However, after last week's Middletown win against the Tigers up at Kingston by a score of 40-34, the Midi Bears have the tiebreaker. So Washingtonville this week, it's going to be a very interesting next 2 weeks here in AA football. The Midi Bears right now standing at 2-4, 1-3 in the division. Their two wins against Port Jervis and last week at Kingston. Their losses coming to a lot of Section 9 powerhouses in Warwick in Week 1, Newburgh in Week 2. That close loss here at Fowler against Monroe Woodbury by a score of 14-13 when the Crusaders pulled it out in the last 15 seconds, and then a 9-0 loss to Pine Bush. So the top three spots in Class AA look solidified between Newburgh, Monroe Woodbury, and Pine Bush. And that last spot for the playoffs up in the air right now between Kingston, Middletown, and Washingtonville. About 50 degrees here at Fowler, a slight breeze from the northwest, which means it's going from your left to your right on the TV screen, headed towards the high school. On occasion, we'll be joined here by Mr. Public Address Announcer Jeff Shuko, who will join us every once in a while here. He's working dual stuff here, right, Mr. Shuko?
That is correct, Mr. Estrada. I'm doing the best I can. Thank you for having me here. It's a wonderful opportunity to be on the stream. Last week, Middletown went up to Kingston, and in the first half, things looked bleak. They were down 27-12 at halftime, but in the second half, they did a great job of staying positive, of not getting defeated and coming out and eventually defeating Kingston on a last-second interception by Arthur Harris, who had 3 interceptions that game. And the whole team really played well in the second half. And hopefully they can build on that and make it 2 wins in a row tonight, because as we know, they need to win, or it would help them immensely to win 3 straight games to end the season.
Yep, winning out against Washingtonville and Valley Central will give them a leg up in that 4th spot because they now hold the tiebreaker against Kingston, and obviously a win here this evening would mean they hold a tiebreaker against Washingtonville as well. A tough start for the Midi Bears as far as schedule-wise is concerned. Their schedule was really front-loaded with the powerhouses of Section 9. Obviously, the top seed in Section 9 football in Class AA last year was Warwick, and the Midi Bears held their own at Warwick in Week 1. Then they had to travel to arguably the best team in Section 9 this year, and that's Newburgh, followed by the Erie Bell game, which is always a toss-up because of the rivalry involved, and then having to follow that up with Monroe Woodbury and Pine Bush.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It was very front-loaded this year. Newburgh is very good. But I have to give the Middies credit. They held their own against Monroe Woodbury in a game 9 times out of 10 you probably win. They held their own against a very good Pine Bush team who likes to grind it out on the ground. They held their own against Warwick as well, so they played really well. You have a great game, Mr. Estrada. Thank you very much once again for allowing me into the booth for 30 seconds of commentary.
Absolutely, and Mr. Shuko headed on over to do his great, outstanding job as public address announcer here at Fowler Field with the Midi Bears getting ready to enter the facility. And here come your Middletown Middies. 2 wins away from advancing into the semifinals of the Class AA in Section 9 football this year. We spoke earlier about the fact that the Midi Bears schedule was front-loaded with some of the heavy hitters in Section 9 football between Warwick, Newburgh, Monroe, Woodbury, and Pine Bush. The back end of the schedule against teams that hopefully the Midi Bears can pull wins out against and solidify that 4th spot in Section 9. The Wizards have a high-flying offense of themselves. They lost in Week 1 to Menacing Valley, 24-14. Their quarterback's Vincent Martello. Martello is a senior, 6'1", 190. So a close match there against Menacing Valley. Week 2 was a loss to Kingston, and boy, that was some game up at Dietz Stadium. Actually, it was in Washingtonville between Kingston and Washingtonville. The Wizards had a 26-point lead against the Tigers in that game and then gave up 568 passing yards to Kingston quarterback Chapman Parker. That was the 2nd highest ever in terms of passing yardage in a football game in New York State history, and it was the tops in Section 9 history. The Wizards in that game gave up touchdowns of 50 yards, 52, 73, 55, and 57 yards, as well as an 88-yard kickoff return. So when the defense gave up points for the Wizards, it was very quick and a lot. Week 3 was a loss to Newburgh, 52-14. So far, the Goldbacks are undefeated in Section 9 football. Week 4 was a loss to Pine Bush for the Wizards by a score of 33-7. They ended up beating Valley Central in their homecoming game, 34-21. And that really kind of solidified the Wizards still having an opportunity for that 4th spot in the playoffs. And then Week 6 last week was a 37-12 loss to Monroe Woodbury. The Midi Bears opened up the year with a loss at Warwick, 21-18, followed by a 31-0 loss to Newburgh in Week 2. They came home for their first game of the year, and it was the 144th Erie Bell game against Port Jervis, a 24-0 shutout for the Midi Bears, winning their 5th straight Erie Bell game here in 2018. That was followed by a very tough loss to Monroe Woodbury, 14-13. Midi Bears had the lead in that game for most of it, up until the last 15 seconds when the Crusaders scored a touchdown and eke out the win over the Midi Bears. In Week 5, a little disappointing loss here at home to Pine Bush by a score of 9-0. That Pine Bush defense was stellar that evening, as was the Middletown defense, with Pine Bush just scoring their 1 touchdown, which was a 46-yarder, and they followed that up with a 28-yard field goal as well. And then last week, the game in Kingston, another high flyer between the Tigers and the Midi Bears. Middletown actually had a 27-6 deficit in that game and then went on to score 34 straight points to put themselves in a position to control their own destiny in the hunt for that 4th playoff spot in Section 9 football. The Midi Bears are led by their sophomore quarterback, number 9, Dalton Howell, a 5'9", a 170 sophomore. Good running game also. The Midi Bears have a lot of speed, both on defense and on offense. Akeem Chambers, Robert Denson, taking care of most of their running attack, with Naquan Dolson and a couple of other receivers out there handling the passing attack from Howell, and obviously on defense led by some very quick linebackers and senior Michael Rivera, as well as the defensive line led by number 75, Armel Duke. Doing the coin toss right now at midfield. Number 33 for Middletown is out there, Tyshawn Moody, along with Mike Rivera. And number 75, Armel Duke. And number 18 for the Midi Bears, Arthur Harris, an 8th grader who saved last week's game against Kingston with an interception in the end zone. We'll try to get you the numbers for the Washingtonville.
Okay, Middletown, you're the visitors. You get to call the flip. That's a head. That's a tail. That's a head, and that's a tail. Okay, you call it right now. Heads. He calls heads. I'm going to flip the coin in the air. It's going to hit the ground, and Mr. Mechnick is going to pick it up and tell us what it is. Heads, he calls. It is a head. Okay, you've won. You can defer, you can receive, or you can defend the goal. Defer. Okay, you want the ball. Okay. Which goal do you want to defend? Put your backs there. Put your backs over here. Okay, Middletown has won the toss. They defer to the second half. Washingtonville will receive. Shake hands. Let's have a good game.
So there you have it from our official this morning, this evening, our head referee. For those of you who are just tuning in, Middletown is actually the visiting team this evening. This game was supposed to have been held in Washingtonville, but due to the stormy weather and the heavy rains from Hurricane Michael, the Washingtonville fields were unplayable this evening, so the game was switched over here to Middletown. The captains for the coin toss out there for Washingtonville were number 52, Tyler O'Neill, number 23, Vincent Martello, the quarterback, number 34, Ryan Hendricks, and number 21, Adab Hopper.
Our national anthem.
Our national anthem here at Fowler Field on the campus of Middletown High School for what is this evening's technically a Washingtonville home game here at Middletown. Once again, the fields over at Washingtonville washed out due to the rains of Hurricane Michael. Switching the ball game here to Fowler Field. The Mitty Bears won the toss, elected to defer, so they'll be out kicking the football to start this game this evening. Steve Banton, number 31, setting up his tee at the 40-yard line. Back to receive for Washingtonville. On the far side is number 4. That's Terrence Snyder. Number 5 is Jason Cintron. And on the near side is number 34. That's Ryan Hendricks. So we're ready to kick off here at Fowler. Banton to the tee. A nice long kick coming up at about the 15-yard line. He's at the 20, the 25, still moving at the 35-yard line, finally brought down by Sean Rosa, or Josh Sam, number 5 for the Mitty Bears. But not before he gets out to the 36-yard line. That was Jason Cintron with the return for the Wizards. They'll take over 1st and 10 from their own 36-yard line. 22-yard return for Cintron and the Wizards. Number 23, Vincent Martello, the quarterback from the shotgun for Washingtonville. Martello tries to keep the football and nothing doing right off the bat. A good defensive stop by that Middletown front line, led by number 37, Isaiah Jackson, the 6'1", 240 sophomore, with the big hit after the fake handoff by Washingtonville. A loss of 4 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 2nd and 14 for Washingtonville. Martello once again takes the snap and keeps the football. He's going to lose some additional yardage on second down. Mike Rivera coming up from his linebacker position, along with a host of other middies on the stop. Brings the ball back to the Washingtonville 31. 3rd and 15. Washingtonville needs to get to their own 46 for a first down, just starting out in their first possession here at Fowler. Luke Pekovic, number 12, is the running back, but Martello with the snap keeps the football, and he's brought down once again by Isaiah Jackson, number 37, Middletown's defensive tackle. Another 5-yard loss. So the first 3 plays by Washingtonville results in a total of about 11 yards in losses. The Washingtonville kicker, Adab Hopper, for the punt. The punt comes down at about the 45-yard line, takes a Middletown bounce into, actually takes a Washingtonville bounce, but still good field position for the Midi Bears. They're going to mark the football just inside the 37-yard line. We'll call it 1st and 10 from the 36 for Middletown for their first offensive possession. A nice job by that Middletown defensive line, causing a 3-and-out for the Wizards. All 3 plays with losses. Number 9 behind the quarterback for Middletown is their sophomore quarterback, Dalton Howell. He's from the shotgun. Goes straight back to pass, dumping it over the middle, and he had a receiver wide open. Threw it perfectly to number 80, Cecil Brownridge, but Mr. Brownridge couldn't come up with the football. Kind of looked like he was getting ready to head upfield before he secured the football, so it's going to be incomplete, 2nd and 10 for Middletown. Number 15 for Middletown in the backfield is Hakeem Chambers, the lone running back to the left of Howell. 2 receivers on either side. This time, Chambers with the football. Nice job by number 11 for Washingtonville. That's Nicholas Norman, the 5'10", 175 junior linebacker, coming up to make the stop. A 1-yard gain. They're actually going to give him 2 yards, so 3rd and 8 for Middletown from their own 38-yard line. Need to get the football to the 47 to get a first down. Play clock running down with about 5 seconds. They'll have to take a quick snap. Howell gets it over, rolls towards his right. Looking downfield, and he's got a receiver in Washingtonville territory. It's going to be a first down for Middletown before he's finally brought down. That's number 13 for the Midi Bears, their top receiver, Naquan Dawson, with the first down reception into the Washingtonville 37-yard line. 26 yards on the completion. Between Howell and Dolson. 1st and 10 Midi Bears at the Washingtonville 37-yard line. Chambers with the carry. Shoestring tackle by Washingtonville's Ryan Hendricks. He'll pick up 2 yards to the 35-yard line. Second and 8 for Middletown from the Washingtonville 35, their opening possession of the night, about 8 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Chambers to Howell's left is the lone running back. This time it's a handoff to number 80, 89 of Middletown, coming off his receiver end. Ryan Rosa with the carry. Picks up about a yard on the play. A long 3rd and 7 for Middletown from the Washingtonville, just inside the 35-yard line. For the second time in this offensive possession, Middletown's faced with a long 3rd down. They converted on the last one on a 26-yard pass from Howell to Dolson. This time Howell's by himself in the shotgun position. He's going straight back to pass, getting a heavy rush and brought down by Washingtonville's number 52. That's Tyler O'Neill. A big loss for Middletown offensively. It's going to force a punt here for Middletown. A nice job from Washingtonville to tighten up once the Midi Bears got into Wizards territory. Number 4 on the near side for Washingtonville is Terrence Snyder. Number 11 on the far side is Nicholas Norman. Punting from about his own 45-yard line for Middletown. It's a short punt coming down in Washingtonville territory. It takes a Wizards bounce. It came down on the 30, took a bounce back towards Middletown territory before it's finally down by the Midi Bears at the 35-yard line. Ends up being a 20-yard punt for Middletown's number 30, Jermaine McCray. Washingtonville will take over 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line, their second possession of the evening. Vincent Martello is the quarterback for the Wizards from the shotgun. He's going to keep the football again. This is what he's done so far, and this time he's got a lot of running room into Middletown territory before he's finally brought down by Armel Duke deep in the Middletown secondary. A 20-yard pickup by Martello gives the Wizards 1st and 10. They're going to mark them at the 44, so it's a 21-yard gain for Martello. 1st and 10 Wizards at the Middletown 44, their second offensive series of the evening. Pekovic to the left. He finally gets his first carry right up the middle. He fumbles the football. I believe Middletown might have recovered, and they have. Number 22 for the Midi Bears, Sean Rosa coming up with the loose football. Middletown recovers it at their own 39-yard line, just as the Wizards looked like they were driving. A timely turnover if you're Middletown, untimely if you're Washingtonville. Pekovic with his first carry got some nice running room up the middle, but he forgot the football 10 yards downfield. Howell from the shotgun for Middletown. Right behind him and to his right is the Middletown running back, Akeem Chambers. Chambers with the football. All running plays so far have been up the middle. Unsuccessful so far against that Wizards defensive line. Led that time by number 52, Tyler O'Neill, who's a 6'3", 210-pound senior. Washingtonville teams historically have had pretty good size on their lines. It'll be interesting to see when Middletown tries to take advantage of the speed advantage that they have in this football game. Howell rolling towards his left, turning around to take a shot downfield, and he overthrows number 80, Cecil Brownridge, over near midfield. Coverage on the play by number 10, William Cooper. Pass is incomplete, so it's going to bring up 3rd and 9 from the Middletown 41 for the Midi Bears. A little more than 5 minutes here in the first quarter. No score between Washingtonville and Middletown in a key game to see who keeps their playoff hopes alive here in 2018. Howell from the shotgun, back to pass, finds Brownridge, but all over him is that middle Washingtonville corner. William Cooper once again. We mentioned his name on the last play, and we're going to mention it again because he had an outstanding play that time in coverage. Fought through his block to make the stop against Brownridge. About a 3-yard loss on the reception. And Middletown will have to punt the football once again on the near side. Terrence Snyder for the Wizards. And number 11 on the far side is Nicholas Norman. McCray, a short punt. Finally takes a Middletown bounce near the 45-yard line and goes all the way down to the 36 before it's downed by Charles Silvagnoli for the Midi Bears. So far, both Washingtonville and Middletown have had the football twice. Washingtonville had a 3-and-out on their first possession. Looked like they were driving on their second possession before Luke Pekovic fumbled the football, and it was recovered by Sean Rosa. But the Midi Bears couldn't do anything with the turnover, and Washingtonville has the football once again. This time Martello, it's almost picked off on the shovel pass. Martello tried to option the football over to Pekovic, and one of the Midi Bears almost intercepted the pitch midstream. 3-yard loss on the play for Washingtonville, 2nd and 13 from their own 34-yard line. Martello, his first pass attempt, off the hands of an intended receiver. Jake Lombardi, and off the deflection, Middletown's 8th grader, Arthur Harris, almost came up with an interception. He's looking up to the sky right now going, oh my goodness. Arthur Harris last week with an interception in the end zone for the Midi Bears, stopping what could have been a game-winning drive for the Tigers up at Dietz last week, keeping Middletown's playoff hopes alive. Martello from the shotgun to his left is actually Pekovic was to his right. He went straight back to pass, but down he goes. We'll try to find out, and it was, I believe, Armel Duke. Yep, Armel Duke, number 75, with the initial sack. And then got some help from the remainder of his Midi Bears. Arthur Harris on the near side. And on the far side for Middletown is Chris Washington getting ready to receive the punt. High snap. Almost blocked by Middletown, but he does get the football off. It lands near midfield and then goes out of bounds at the 43. No, they're going to mark him at the 46, 47. The official's still walking up the sideline. They'll finally mark it down at the 47. 1st and 10 Midi Bears, their 3rd possession. So far, no score, 2:52 remaining in the first quarter between Washingtonville and Middletown. Really haven't had much movement by either team with the occasional first down. I think both teams have had one first down through their first 3 possessions. Howell's going to keep the football up the middle. He's finally thrown down to the turf by number 11 for Washingtonville, Nicholas Norman. Gains a yard on the play, 2nd and 9 for the Midi Bears from their own 48-yard line. So far, Middletown's been unsuccessful running the football between the tackles. They have yet to try to run outside. So we'll take a look because it would seem that the Midi Bears have some sort of speed advantage in this ball game. 2 receivers to either side. Chambers to his right. Howell rolls to his right. Flips the ball downfield. He's got a receiver downfield. He's finally brought down by number 36 of Washingtonville. That's David Zalewski. Cameron Green on the reception for the Midi Bears, number 24. And it's a first down for Middletown, their second possession inside Washingtonville territory. First and 10 Middletown from the Wizards' 42-yard line. Cecil Brownridge and Naquan Dolson on the left. Green and number 89, Ryan Rosa on the right. Dolson in motion from left to right. Howell going downfield. He's got Brownridge all the way down to the Washingtonville 12-yard line. First down, Middletown. A nice job by Brownridge getting free. Howell getting him the football. Washingtonville's William Cooper, who had some nice defensive stops the last possession, this time got himself all tangled up. Brownridge with the 31-yard reception from Howell. It's going to bring up first and 10 at the 11. Howell from the shotgun. Chambers off the handoff. It's got a lot of running room. Brings it inside the 10-yard line. Middletown this time trying to shake things up. They get the ball down to the 6-yard line, Chambers does. It's a pickup of 6. Second down and 4 from the Washingtonville 6 for Middletown. As I mentioned earlier, the Midi Bears have been unsuccessful running between the tackles, but that time they had their running back line up as a wide receiver and then did the inside handoff, causing a little delay for that Washingtonville front line and creating some running room for Chambers. Howell, this time the low snap, it's fumbled. I believe Chambers fell on the football, and he did recover. But a loss of 4 yards on the play, bringing it back to the 10-yard line. They'll actually mark it at the 9, so it's going to be third down and 8 for Middletown. That was the last play of the first quarter. So we've completed the first 12 minutes here at Fowler Field. If you're in the area, stop on by. This was an unannounced home game. It's actually a home game for Washingtonville. Unfortunately, due to Hurricane Mike, the fields over at Washingtonville were underwater, so they've switched the ball game here to Middletown and the turf. I believe they've also moved the Goshen Gladiators home game against New Paltz here to Fowler tomorrow afternoon. I believe that's a 3 o'clock start for the same reasons, due to unsafe playing conditions. So in that first quarter, Washingtonville had the football 3 times. Middletown just completing their third possession of the first quarter. They have a 3rd and 7 from the 9-yard line. They need to get to the 2 to get a first down. And we'll see the first play of the second quarter will be Middletown's play, 3rd and 7 from the 9-yard line. This time, Howell's got 3 receivers to his right. Brownridge, the lone receiver, to his left. A bad snap. Howell with the football, trying to get away, but he's unsuccessful in doing so. Number 51 for Washingtonville, Noah Cunningham, making Howell and the Midi Bears pay for the fumbled snap. A big loss all the way back to the 26-yard line, bringing up 4th down and 25 for Middletown. And they're somewhat in nowhere land here. Too far for a field goal, so they're just going to try a 4th down, essentially a Hail Mary here. 2 wide receivers to either side for Howell from the shotgun. He lays it up deep, almost on one-on-one coverage. It was Brownridge and Cooper two names we've mentioned often here in the first half, trying to take advantage of Brown Ridge's 6'3", 180 frame against Cooper's 5'10", 165 frame, a definite height advantage. But unfortunately, the ball wasn't put in a position where it was a jump ball. And so Washingtonville will take over. They've dodged another Middletown possession in their own territory. 1st and 10 Wizards from their own 26. Martello looking to pitch, but keeps the football. Counters to the other side on the running play and does a nice job getting out beyond first down territory before he's brought down by Middletown linebacker number 48. That's Jaheim Turner. Actually, Jaheim coming up from his safety position to make the stop. But not before Martello gets the football out to the 37-yard line. Picks up 11 on the play. First down Wizards from their own 37-yard line. Pekovic to the right of Martello. This time he does pitch it to Pekovic, but it looked more like a cautious pitch, allowing Tyshawn Moody to come up from his linebacker spot to make the stop. There is a Middletown player down on the field. That looks to be Chris Washington, injured. That would be a difficult injury. We'll see what. It looks like he's favoring his right leg. Mike Rivera and Jaheim Turner carrying him off. Middletown can ill afford to lose someone of the talent of Chris Washington, who's done a nice job in that Middletown secondary this year. Washington was the MVP of the Middletown Port Jervis Erie Bell game this year. Headed to the bench now. Trainer Craig taking a look at him for Middletown. We'll try to get an update for you. Second down and 11 for Washingtonville from their own 36-yard line after the 1-yard loss. Martello from the shotgun for the Wizards. He's going to keep the football this time. Armel Duke. And number 42 for Middletown, Brandon James on the stop. The keeper for Martello picks up 1. So we're at 3rd and 10 for Washingtonville from their own 37-yard line. 9:40 remaining in the first half. No score between the Wizards and Middletown. Right now, Newburgh, Monroe, and Pine Bush are comfortably holding the top 3 spots, with the last 4th spot awaiting either Kingston, Middletown, or Washingtonville in the Section 9 Class AA playoffs. Martello straight back from the shotgun, getting a heavy rush from Duke. Finally gets the ball off, and he's got himself a receiver down the sideline. Off he goes to the 20-yard line, the 15, the 5, and he's brought down. There is a flag on the play at the 11-yard line, and it looks like they're going to mark him down short at the 1-yard line. Jake Lombardi on the reception. $62 yards on the reception, but it's going to bring the football back. It looks like a push in the back as the officials talking to the Middletown players. We're going to get the call here by the official.
We got 34 blue with a push in the back. We're going to go 10 yards back from the flag, and it's going to be 1st and 10.
So there you have it by our official, number 34, Ryan Hendricks for Washingtonville with the block in the back. The flag was thrown at about the 16-yard line. 10 yards back. It'll be 1st and 10 Washingtonville from their own 26 instead of 1st and goal from the Middletown 1. First and 10, the Wizards. First time in Middletown, actually second time in Middletown territory. This time Martello going to keep it. Nothing doing, says that Middletown front line led by number 22, Sean Rosa, and number 42, Brandon James on the stop. A big loss all the way to the 31-yard line. And my apologies, the down marker person is now switching it to the 28-yard line. So it's going to be a loss of 2. 2nd and 12, Washingtonville from the Middletown 28-yard line. No score, 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Martello from the shotgun for the Wizards. Pekovic off the handoff. Does a little hesitation, gets him about 5 yards. Inside the 25, Armel Duke. As well as Tyshawn Moody and Isaiah Jackson in on the stop. 4 yards on the carry for Pekovic to the Middletown 24. 3rd down and 7. Martello from the shotgun. Pekovic is to his right, is the lone running back. Back to pass is Martello. Looking towards the end zone, one-on-one. Nice job by Arthur Harris, and a late flag that's going to go against Harris in Middletown. And I had the binoculars on that one, folks. It was not that much of a foul if they are going to call it on Harris. Yeah, I thought that was a nice coverage by Arthur Harris downfield, but apparently not the case. According to the official, they're going to flag him. Here's the call.
Got pass interference. White going half the distance to the goal. It'll be 1st and 10.
So a fortunate call for the Wizards on 3rd and 7. Gets them half the distance and a 1st and 10 from the Middletown 13-yard line. Pekovic off the handoff. Isaiah Jackson wraps him up right away. No gain on the carry. 2nd and 10 for Washingtonville, deep in Middletown territory. They're at the Mitty Bear 12-yard line with no score and under 7 minutes remaining in the first half. Pekovic, the lone running back to the left side of Martello. He's going to keep it up the middle. Inside the 10-yard line, brought down by Rivera. And Tyshawn Moody picks up about 7 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 3rd and 3 from the 6-yard line. They need to get to the 3-yard line for a 1st down. Middletown needs to defend not only the 1st down, but also a touchdown here. Wizards threatening to score. Martello from the shotgun, Pekovic to his right. Handoff to Pekovic. He's going down the line, but he's brought down short of the 1st down marker. Number 42 for Middletown, Brandon James, does a nice job wrapping him up from behind. It's a loss of 1 yard to the 7. Going to bring up 4th down, and it looks like Washingtonville is going to try to take the points here and attempt a field goal. They'll mark the football at the 14. Adab Hopper in to attempt the 24-yarder. The kick is up. It is Good. There is a whistle on the play. So we'll see what the whistle is by the officials.
There is a flag on the play.
And they're talking to Washingtonville, so this looks to be like a Middletown. We'll see if this gets Washingtonville close enough to attempt an offensive play and take the points off the board. And it looks like Washingtonville's going to take the points.
We had hurdling against White. That was declined, and the point is good.
So the Middletown foul of hurdling, trying to get over the Washingtonville offensive line and get an advantage on the field goal attempt. The result would have been half the distance, which would not have resulted in a first down for Washingtonville. So they chose, instead of going for another fourth down play, to take the point. So with 5:17 remaining, a 63-yard drive by Washingtonville gives the Wizards a 3-0 lead with 5:17 remaining in the first half. Middletown fortunate on that drive not to have given up 7 points. A block in the back after a long reception by Washingtonville negated a stop at the 1-yard line where they would have had first and goal. Instead brought the ball back to the 26, and they had to settle eventually for a field goal. Hopper back to kick for Washingtonville. A long kick coming up to the 10-yard line. He's got the 15, the 20, 25, the 30 still on his feet. That's Brownridge. A nice return all the way out to about the 32-yard line. 22-yard return for Brownridge. Middletown will take over. 1st and 10 from their own 32-yard line. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. First and 10 Middletown, their own 32. Howell from the shotgun. Back to pass. Looking downfield, pump fakes, gets away from a couple of would-be tacklers, brings the football back down and tries to run with it, but he's brought down at the 31-yard line. It's going to be a loss of 1 on the play. 2nd and 11. Howell did not like what he saw downfield, and instead of giving up an interception, decided to try to run with the football. Comes over to the sideline to get his second down play by Coach Strentville. Coach Strentville taking over the offensive calls during last week's Kingston football game. Second and 11 so far, the Midi Bears not being able to put much together here. Low snap, 3rd bad snap of the game. Howell's going to keep the football, manages to get some positive yardage out to the 34-yard line. There is a flag on the play, and that might be coming back for holding against Middletown. So some sloppy play here by the Midi Bears on penalties. My guess is a hold by Middletown on this last run play. They are going to take the yardage. Here's the call.
We have a hold, 56 White, going back 10 yards, and we're going to repeat the down.
Brian Giacchi with the hold for Middletown. 2nd and 21 for Middletown now from their 21-yard line. They need to get all the way to the 42-yard line for a first down. 3 receivers to Howell's right. 1 on the far side is Brownridge. Chambers the lone back. Howell straight back to pass, looking downfield, going long, seeing if he can get a receiver. A nice play that time by Washingtonville's number 4. That's Terrence Snyder on the coverage. Cameron Green, number 24, the intended receiver for Middletown. But some nice coverage that time by Terrence Snyder. There is another flag on the play. All of a sudden, it's been laundry time the last 5 or so minutes of this ball game.
We have an illegal formation. Number 70 was not on the line. That's declined. It'll be 3rd down.
Another Middletown penalty. I believe that's 3 or 4 straight plays where the Midi Bears have had laundry thrown. An illegal formation by the Midi Bears, declined by Washingtonville. Is going to bring up 3rd and 21 from the Middletown 21-yard line. They need to get to their own 42 for a first down. No 3-0 Washingtonville, 4 minutes remaining in the first half. That's Dolson in motion. A little dump-off pass. A flag on the play again. For the 5th consecutive play, we have laundry. The initial call looks like a motion penalty against Middletown. Washingtonville will likely decline and bring up 4th down for Middletown.
Illegal formation. Number 70 on the white team is not lined up on the line. That's declined.
2nd straight time that Bruce French has been flagged on an illegal formation. Middletown will be punting the football. It's a low kick. Going to come down on the Middletown side of the field. Does take a roll. And it's finally touched down at the 49-yard line by Joe Roman. Jermaine McCray on the punt for Middletown. And Washingtonville will start this offensive series in Middletown territory at the 49-yard line. A sloppy game here in the second quarter for Middletown's resulted in a 3-0 score so far for Washingtonville off a 24-yard field goal by Adab Hopper. And now the Wizards looking to add to that score. 1st and 10 from the Middletown 49-yard line. Martello from the shotgun. Pekovic to his right. Handoff to Pekovic up the middle. Brought down by Tyshawn Moody after a pickup of 3. 2nd and 7 Washingtonville from the Middletown 46-yard line. Beautiful night here at Fowler. Temperature in the upper 40s now. Very little breeze, so not affecting the ball game too much. 2nd and 7 for the Wizards. This time Martello keeps the football, spins away from a would-be tackler before he's finally brought down by number 48, Jaheim Turner, for the Midi Bears. He picks up about 4 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 3rd and 3 for Washingtonville from the Middletown 42-yard line. A big 3rd down play here for Middletown, though Washingtonville could possibly try to go on 4th down if needed. Though my guess is they would try to pin Middletown back, but first we have a 3rd down to contend with. Pekovic with the carry. And he's very close to a first down. They're going to mark him down at the 40-yard line. So he's going to be short by inches. The clock is running, 2 minutes remaining in the first half. And they're going to be going for it. 4th and less than a yard for the Wizards. A lot of Middletown middies up on the line. He's going to carry by Martello, and he pushes. He's got a good push from his offensive line. Picks up a couple of yards, enough for a Washingtonville first down with 1.5 minutes. The clock will stop on first down. Washingtonville with all 3 of its timeouts still in place. They have not chosen to use one here. 1:30 remaining in the first half. They have 1st and 10 at the Middletown 38-yard line. Martello from the shotgun. He's got 2 receivers to either side, and Pekovic is running back. Back to pass. Martello going downfield. Washington with the interception. And a peculiar call there by Washingtonville, trying to get greedy early on. They had a 1st and 10, 3 timeouts in their pocket with over a minute remaining at the Middletown 38. And Martello threw that football up like it was a Hail Mary in the last play of the half. Washington, along with other Midi Bears back there, there were 3 of them against one Washingtonville would-be receiver. So Chris Washington comes up with the football. 1:08 in all 3 timeouts for Middletown. We'll see if they decide to just go in at halftime down 3 or whether they try to put up some points. Howell straight back to pass. He's looking downfield over the middle. Tried to go to Brownridge, who was defended well by William Cooper. Howell had to release that football a lot earlier than when he wanted to, and Brownridge never really completed his route. 2nd and 10 for Middletown from their own 14-yard line. 1:02 remaining in the first half. Middletown down 3-0 to Washingtonville. Howell's going to keep the football up the middle. He fumbles the football. A lot of Wizards there, and they recover the football. And the one thing Middletown didn't want to happen just happened. Number 51 for the Wizards comes up with the football. That's Noah Cunningham. And Washingtonville now has a golden opportunity with 52 seconds remaining in the first half. All 3 of their timeouts in their pocket. 1st and 10 Wizards from the Middletown 20-yard line, leading in the ball game 3-0. Martello from the shotgun. Pekovic this time is to his left. He goes straight back to pass. He's got some time. Downfield in the end zone, had a player. Arthur Harris at the Jaheim Turner at the last second came on over to break up the would-be touchdown pass from his safety position. Number 34 for Washingtonville was Ryan Hendricks. He had an opportunity to come down with the football, but Martello floated it a bit too much, allowing Turner to come back and make the deflection. 2nd and 10 for Martello and the Wizards. Back to pass, and 3 of the Midi Bears. He gets rid of the football. It's deflected up. And number 34, but he fumbles the football. Middletown picks it up. And Washingtonville is fortunate that number 42 for Middletown, Brandon James, didn't come up with the football or fell down once he came up with the football. Otherwise, it would have been a touchdown. So we've had 3 straight turnovers. Middletown now with the football on their own 43-yard line. 34 seconds remaining in the first half. The Midi Bears have all 3 timeouts left. But I said that a few moments ago, and they ended up fumbling the football. So let's see what happens here. Howell from the shotgun, Chambers to his right. He goes straight back to pass. Over the middle. He's got a receiver. Number 89 for Middletown was the intended. That was Ryan Rosa going down the middle. He was well covered on the play by Brandon Goodwin. 2nd down and 10 for Howell. Howell just hasn't had an opportunity to really get anything going this evening with any of his receivers. Washingtonville's done a really nice job defensively. 2nd and 10 Midi Bears from their own 43. 2 receivers to either side. Howell steps up, but a big rush by that Washingtonville defensive line. And on the blitz, number 52, Tyler O'Neill with the big sack. Middletown calls timeout with 17 seconds left. Washingtonville has really had the better of the play here in the first half. Midi Bears somewhat fortunate with many penalties and several turnovers to be down only 3-0 so far here in the first half. When we come back from this Middletown timeout, the Midi Bears will have 3rd down and 14 from their own 37-yard line. They need to get into Washingtonville territory at the Wizards' 47 to connect on a 1st down, but there's also limited time remaining. However, if they do get 1st down, obviously the clock stops, and Middletown still has 2 timeouts remaining. Howell from the shotgun, 3rd and 14 for the Midi Bears. He's going to roll to his left. It's a reverse this time. Brownridge at the 40-yard line, the 45-yard line, trying to get into Washingtonville territory. He's finally brought down at the Middletown 49, out of bounds. So there's going to be 7 seconds remaining and 4th down for Middletown. Opportunity perhaps here for a Hail Mary for Howell and the Midi Bears. They're at their own 49-yard line, 7.2 seconds remaining in the first half, down 3-0 to Washingtonville. He's got Ryan Rosa on the near side, along with number 24, that's Cameron Green. 2 other receivers, Dolson on the left side. Howell looking for time, but does not get it. He's finally brought down with 2 seconds remaining. So Washingtonville this time is going to have an opportunity themselves to throw a Hail Mary. Let's set the scene here at Fowler. 2 seconds remaining in the first half. Washingtonville leading Middletown 3-0. The Wizards have an opportunity at the Middletown 46 for a Hail Mary. Martello straight back to pass. He'll need some time to get it downfield. He throws it downfield, and it's out of bounds. He really didn't have sufficient time to set something up near the goal line. So that's going to lead us to halftime here at Fowler Field. Washingtonville headed to the locker room with a 3-0 lead over the Midi Bears on what's been a mistake-filled game by both sides. But when it comes to flags and turnovers, I'd have to give Middletown the edge in the ball game. And they're very fortunate to come into halftime down only 3-0. And they're fortunate to have gone into halftime on an ugly game so far at 3-0. Washingtonville scoring on a 63-yard drive. with 5:17 remaining in the first half, culminating in a 24-yard field goal by number 21, Adab Hopper. A multitude of turnovers and flags for Middletown here in the second quarter really has stunted many of their drives. They were into Washingtonville territory on several occasions, came away with no points. But on the flip side, they were able defensively to stop Washingtonville from heading into the end zone. And we've come to halftime here at Fowler. A beautiful evening for some football. If you're in the area, head on over. If not, we'll see you in about 10 minutes here at Fowler with Washingtonville leading Middletown by a score of 3-0. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Fowler Field as we complete halftime. About 2 minutes remaining in halftime on what is really a Washingtonville Wizards home game. This evening, Middletown was supposed to be at Washingtonville, but due to the rains of Hurricane Michael, the game was moved here to Fowler Field. There'll be another football game here tomorrow afternoon that does not include Middletown. Goshen's fields are also underwater, so they'll be hosting New Paltz here at Fowler Field tomorrow at 3 o'clock. The Midi Bears obviously getting a nice talking to from Coach Strenfill here at halftime. They have yet to report out to the field with about a minute and a half remaining in the half. It's been an ugly ball game so far here at Fowler between Washingtonville and Middletown. Both teams not doing much in the first quarter. Washingtonville started the football game on a 3-and-out. They followed out. Middletown did connect on a third down pass for a first down on their first possession, but nothing much throughout the first quarter. In the second quarter, nothing but turnovers and flags for the Midi Bears. They're fortunate enough to have gone into halftime just down by a score of 3-0. That was on a 63-yard possession on the offense by the Wizards, culminating in a 24-yard field goal by Washingtonville kicker Adab Hopper from 24 yards out with about 5:17 remaining, giving Washingtonville, that is, a 3-0 lead. So that's your halftime score. Washingtonville 3, Middletown nothing. The Class AA standings, Newburgh at the top with an overall record of 5-1, 4-0 in the division. Monroe holding the second spot at 4-2. They're also 4-0 in the division. I believe they clash next week. Pine Bush so far in third place with a 3-3 record, 3-1 in divisional play. Those top three teams have solidified their playoff spots. Kingston and Middletown and Washingtonville all fighting for that last playoff spot. Kingston right now holding the position with a 2-4 record, 2-3 in divisional play. The Midi Bears follow them also with a 2-4 record, but 1-3 in divisional play. Washingtonville comes in tonight's action with a 1-5 record, 1-4 in divisional play. Their only win against Valley Central during their homecoming. And Valley Central trailing the pack with a record of 1-5. They've yet to win in the division at 0-4. Earlier this year in an exciting football game, I believe it was played in Washingtonville, Kingston defeated the Wizards 62-59, coming back from a 26-point deficit. That's what's given Kingston a tiebreaker edge against Washingtonville. Meanwhile, Middletown has the tiebreaker edge over Kingston. As a result of their win over the Tigers last week by a score of 40-34 up at Dietz Stadium. So really the team that's got their own destiny in their hands is Middletown. If they win out here this evening against Washingtonville and again next week at homecoming here at Fowler against Valley Central, they will capture that fourth and final playoff spot and take a trip likely to Newburgh in the Class AA semifinals. But in order for that to happen, Middletown has a lot of work to do here in the second half. They've been unimpressive on the offensive side of the football. Really no continuity between a running game or a passing game. They haven't been able to put much together so far. Getting joined here by my comrade, Mr. Jeff Shuko.
How you doing this fine evening, Mr. Estrada?
Good, and Mr. Shuko, give me a little assessment of what you think occurred in the first half here.
Well, I think what happened was Dalton Howell really developed a connection with his receivers to start the game. He had a 26-yard pass to, I think it was Cecil Brownridge, and he had a 26-yard pass to Naquan Dolson and a 31-yard pass to Cecil Brownridge. So there was some good connection there. I think the defense played very well. They had a forced fumble. They had at least 2 sacks. They had an interception by Chris Washington. I think the defense played well. I think the offense played well. You know, I mean, a few
flags and turnovers. Flags and turnovers in the second quarter really stymied any consistency to the Middletown offense. At one time, I think they had 5 or 6 straight possessions with a flag. And really, I thought we're fortunate enough to come off the field because of those turnovers and flags, only down 3-0. Because one flag on Washingtonville, they would have had a 1st and goal at the 1, block in the back, brought it back to the 36. That's where they got their field goal out of that. But then a couple of other turnovers gave the ball right back to Washingtonville in the Middletown side of the field.
You know, football is such a game of rhythm, and if you can get into the rhythm of, okay, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball, we're going to pass the ball, we're going to run the ball to set up the pass, we're going to pass the ball to set up the run. If you can get into that rhythm, you can start scoring points and you can start putting distance between yourself and the opponent. I think Middletown didn't quite get into that rhythm in the first half because they had penalties and turnovers and a few negative plays. I think in the second half they're going to look to get into that rhythm, and I think between the passing game of Dalton Howell and him distributing the ball to Cecil Brownridge and Naquan Dolson and Ryan Rosa, and the running game, we haven't seen much of Jacoy Harvey or Robert Denson in the game. I believe the only running back to get a carry in the first half was number 15, Hakeem Chambers. I think all those things combined, I think Middletown can and will develop rhythm in the second half, and I could see Middletown start to score some points.
Okay, from your mouth, hopefully to the field on an onside attempt by Washingtonville to start the second half. It is recovered. A nice job that time by Josh Sam to fall on the football for Middletown. So good job fundamentally with Washingtonville trying to catch the Midi Bears off guard. Instead, it results in Middletown having great field position to start the second half. So 1st and 10, Middletown on their own 48-yard line, down 3-0, their first offensive series of the second half. Howell from the shotgun, Chambers to his right. Handoff to Chambers. He tries to get to the outside, but a nice job running him down that time by Noah Cunningham, showing some speed of his own and not allowing Chambers to get to the outside. We talked earlier about the fact that Middletown had been unsuccessful running between the tackles, so Coach Strenfill, seeing that, trying to get some work towards the outside. I still think if they continue to do that, eventually they're going to find a hole in there, and that Middletown speed hopefully would take over at that point. Not on that play, though. Chambers did come away with a 1-yard gain to the 49, 2nd and 9 for Middletown. Howell from the shotgun. He's got 2 receivers on either side. This time he's rolling to his right, his throwing side, looking downfield. And a nice play, a nice catch that time by Naquan Dolson. One-on-one with number 22 of Washingtonville was Brandon Goodwin, but this time Dolson wins the battle all the way down to the 20-yard line. A 31-yard gain between Howe and Dolson gives Middletown a 1st and 10 at the 20 of the Wizards. Howe from the shotgun, trying to get some consistency in this Middletown offense, flips it to Chambers. And Washingtonville still impressive on defense. Ryan Hendricks bringing Chambers down. Coach Strenfill making an adjustment here in the second half, trying to buy his quarterback some additional time by rolling him out and giving the receivers some time to run their routes. And it worked on the second play of the second half on the 31 strike to Dolson. Second down for Middletown and 12 from the Washingtonville 22-yard line, looking to get on the board for the first time. Low snap over the middle, in coverage, dangerous pass to Brownridge from Howell. There were 3 defenders back there in the secondary for Washingtonville. How fortunate that that was not intercepted, but for about the 4th or 5th time in this ball game, not a good snap.
Brownridge was open there, Christian. If he just got a little more air on that ball, I think we're looking at a touchdown.
9:59 remaining in the third quarter. Washingtonville leading Middletown 3-0 here at Fowler on the campus of Middletown High School. Third down and 12 from the 22. Chambers again on the right side is the lone running back. Howell off the shotgun. Keeps the football and nothing doing. They weren't fooled on that Washingtonville defensive front. Ryan Hendricks once again with the stop for the Wizards. Going to bring up fourth down. And this time, Coach Strenfield's going to try a long field goal. Number 31 for Middletown, Steve Banton, will try a field goal. He's going to set the football down at the 29-yard line for a 39-yard attempt from the left-footed kicker. Snap is down. Kick is blocked. It was a low kick that went straight into the Washingtonville defensive line. And for the third time in this ball game, Middletown goes into Washingtonville territory and comes up empty. That time, at least Middletown's offense can come off the field, thinking a little bit that they had put something together. First and 10, Washingtonville. The Wizards now with their first possession of the second half, leading 3-0 with 9:12 remaining in the third. And they'll start on their own 28-yard line. Martello is going to keep the football. Number 37 for Middletown's Isaiah Jackson, who's had a nice job defensively. They're going to give him 2 yards to the 30. 2nd and 8 for Washingtonville from their own 30-yard line. Martello from the shotgun for the Wizards. Pekovic to his left. He's going to roll to the left and take it himself, but he's brought down. A nice job. Several Midi Bears in on the stop. Isaiah Jackson, number 22. Sean Rosa. And number 42, Brandon James, all in on the tackle. A loss of a yard on the play. The ball's marked at the Washingtonville 29-yard line. It's going to bring up 3rd and 9 for the Wizards. Martello once again from the shotgun. Straight back to pass. Some rush from the Middletown defensive line. Originally, Martello runs away from the would-be tacklers, but he's finally brought down by number 42, Brandon James. Also give credit to Jermaine McCray, who did a nice job holding Martello in his tracks. Harris is out there at his own 45-yard line. Number 18, Arthur Harris, getting ready to receive the punt from Middletown, for Middletown. Hopper will be punting near his own 5-yard line. And it's blocked by the Midi Bears. It goes outside the back of the end zone for a safety. And Middletown is on the board with a defensive score. Number 33, Tyshawn Moody, got in. And I think if Tyshawn doesn't block that punt, somebody else does. There was 3 Midi Bears who got in there quickly. And just like that, Middletown is on the board, down 3-2 with 6:56 remaining in the third, and they get the football right back on offense. Hopefully that'll spark the Middletown offense and give it some momentum here in the second half.
lot of momentum here at Middletown again.
Hopper, a good kicker for Washingtonville. I was watching him hit some 30 and 40-yard field goals during halftime as he was practicing, but he got no help from his offensive line in that punt from his own 5-yard line. It was blocked by Tyshawn Moody. Ball went out of the back of the end zone for the safety. And now Hopper will have to free kick from about his own 20-yard line. Dolson on the far side, Brown Ridge on the near side. They've set themselves up at their own 25-yard line to receive this free kick. They're now moving up to the 30-yard line. Hooper with the free kick. It comes down at the 45-yard line. Number 25 for Middletown does a nice job. That's Dante Bernard returning the free kick into Washingtonville territory. So the Midi Bears, on the heels of the safety, also gain possession of the football in good field position, starting 1st and 10 at the Washingtonville 48-yard line. 6:50 remaining in the third quarter. Washingtonville leads Middletown 3-2. The Midi Bears have the ball 1st and 10 at the Wizards' 48-yard line. Chambers to the left is the lone running back. Howell from the shotgun. Straight back to pass, looking downfield, one-on-one. Dolson with a one-handed catch. Naquan Dolson sticks out his right-handed paw and comes down with the football. A fabulous catch. And we talked about the fact that the defense can create some momentum on offense, and on the first play from scrimmage, it's 31 yards on the one-handed catch by Naquan Dolson from Dalton Howell. And the Midi Bears are knocking on the door once again. Howell from the shotgun, Chambers to his right. Straight back to pass, going to the end zone. Dolson had him open, but overthrew him. It's going to bring up 2nd and 10 from the Washingtonville 18. My colleague Kevin Gleason over on War Radio let me know before the start of the second half that Dalton Howell needed 55 yards for a 1,000-yard season. And I believe he might already have that.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. We're going to half the distance to the goal. It'll be 1st down.
And my bad, folks, I didn't see the flag on the field. I actually thought it was a football, but instead that was a flag roughing the passer against Washingtonville. And all of a sudden, just like that, things are going right the Middletown way. With the half the distance, roughing the passer call, Middletown now has 1st and goal from the Washingtonville 9, trying to take the lead for the first time this evening. Howell straight back to pass, again to the end zone. He's got one-on-one. Does he got it? There's a flag on the play and a touchdown. Boy, this has all of a sudden become the Naquan Dolson football game. Brings in the 9-yard pass from Howell. There is a flag on the play, but I think it's going to be pass interference against Washingtonville.
I think it was on defense. It looked like it to me anyway, Christian. It was clearly pass interference on defense. And,
here's the call by the official. He's got to ask Coach Strentville if he wants a touchdown or not, but I think we know what the answer to that's going to be. And very interesting that Middletown's not going for the 2-point conversion here to make it a full
we have
touchdown.
Pass interference, 36 blue. That penalty is going to be assessed on the kickoff, 15 yards.
So on top of the touchdown, Washingtonville, with a costly penalty, will be assessed 15 yards on the kickoff. So that should hopefully give Middletown some favorable field position on the next kickoff. So the Midi Bears are going to go for the 2-point conversion here. They had Steve Banton, the kicker, out there, but have decided to change their mind. And this makes sense. They're up 8-3 right now. This would give them a 7-point lead if they can score. Quick pass. Too quick that time. Intended for Cameron Green. And it went over his head just as he was turning to look for the pass. It had already gone by him. Howell needed to hold on to that football probably a split second longer. So the 2-point conversion fails, and Middletown is now up 8-3 after the 9-yard score with 6:14 remaining in the third quarter. So the 15-yard penalty on that touchdown pass will give Middletown kicker Steve Banton some extra room. He's actually going to be kicking the football, I believe. And they'll be kicking the football actually in Washingtonville territory. Be interesting to see what the kicking strategy will be here. Banton will be kicking from the Washingtonville 45-yard line. He has a couple of options. Could be a squibber, could be a hard line drive, could be a little looper coming down in the middle of all the Wizards and try to see if that Middletown athleticism can get down to the football quicker than Washingtonville. And it's going to be a high little looper. Washingtonville does field the football. Number 34 for the Wizards is Ryan Hendricks. He's finally brought down by Josh Sam, number 5. And Washingtonville will look for their second possession of the ball game, or in the second half, that is, from their own 18-yard line. They're now trailing for the first time in this ball game by a score of 8-3, 6:07 remaining in the third quarter here at Fowler. Offensively, it's become the Naquan Dolson show for Middletown with a lot of acrobatic catches that have helped the Midi Bears score their first touchdown of the game. Martello for Washingtonville from the shotgun. Handoff up the middle to number 1 of the Wizards. A lot of gang tackling by the Midi Bears. They do a nice job. That's Armel Duke. Made the tackle. Ryan Burgos with the carry, his first one of the evening, gains a yard for Washingtonville, 2nd and 9 for the Wizards from their own 20-yard line. Burgos to the left of Martello, straight back to pass. A big rush by Rosa and additional Midi Bears. It's tapped in the air. They're probably going to call it incomplete, I believe, and not a fumble. Martello fortunate not to have that ball intercepted. Armel Duke in hot pursuit, as well as number 22, Sean Rosa, had the initial charge at Martello. 3rd and 9, the Middletown defense all of a sudden with an extra hitch in its step. Martello from the shotgun, 3rd and 9 from their own 20 for Washingtonville. He goes straight back to pass. Being held, but I don't think there's a penalty flag yet. The pass was intended for number 2, Jake Lombardi. And Washingtonville, fortunate that there was a bear hug on some of those Middletown defensive linemen, but no flag thrown. Arthur Harris positioning himself back at the Middletown 45-yard line to receive the punt by Hopper, who was blocked his last time. A very high snap. He gets the ball off a very short and high kick coming towards the sideline, takes a Middletown bounce, and Middletown's going to get this possession inside the Washingtonville 30-yard line. First and 10 Midi Bears at the Washingtonville 27. A net 7 yards on the punt for Hopper. And with 5:22 remaining in the third quarter for the first 6.5 minutes of this second half, it's been nothing but Middletown defense and Naquan Dawson. Cornwall right now is leading Menacing Valley 17-14 at the end of the third quarter. And also Newburgh now up 41-7 on Pine Bush. So it looks like the standings in Class AA will remain somewhat the same, with Newburgh on top, Pine Bush in the third spot. And that big game to decide the Class A top spot right now, Menacing Valley only trailing Cornwall by 3 points at the end of the third quarter. Second and 10 for Middletown from the Washingtonville 27-yard line. Dolson is on the near side. Handoff to number 24 of Middletown. He's got some running room to the 25 before it's finally closed off. That's Cameron Green coming off as the wide receiver. He was in motion and received the handoff. He gains 2 yards on the play to the 25. Third and 8 Middletown from the Washingtonville 25-yard line. Chambers to the right. Howell from the shotgun. Low snap. Does enough just to hold on to it before he's finally brought down. By Jake Lombardi. And Middletown, it's wreaked havoc with them so far tonight. Every time they're in Washingtonville territory, that snap has either been high or low and not given Howell an opportunity to make some plays downfield. When he's had the opportunities, Naquan Dolson has made the most of it. So step one, get the football to the quarterback. Howell straight back to pass, gets beyond the rush, has a receiver almost intercepted by William Cooper on the far sideline. He was trying to get it to Brown Ridge after he got beyond the initial threat from that Washingtonville defensive line. He actually had some running room at the time, but thought he could loop it over William Cooper of Washingtonville and get it into the hands of Brown Ridge, but the ball goes out of play. First and 10 now for Washingtonville. They take over on downs on their own 29-yard line. Martello is going to keep the football. Nice job by Armel Duke and Mike Rivera coming up from his linebacker spot to make the stop after a 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7 from the 32 for Washingtonville. Clock running 3.5 remaining in the third quarter. Middletown holding on to an 8-3 lead. Martello from the shotgun. Pekovic is the running back. This time Martello keeps it and goes opposite counter to his offensive line and comes up with a lot of yardage on that second down carry, enough for a Washingtonville first down. That's their first down of the second half. First and 10, Washingtonville, their own 42-yard line. Martello's going to keep the football once again. He's got some running room on his first down carry. Mike Rivera with the stop for Middletown. Pickup of 6 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 2nd and 4 for Washingtonville from their own 48-yard line, and all of a sudden the Wizards have regained some traction here on this offensive series here in the third quarter. Pekovic on the left side is the lone running back. Martello from the shotgun. Pekovic with the football, and he's got enough for another Washingtonville first down, this time inside Middletown territory. First and 10, Washingtonville from the Middletown 47-yard line. In this offensive series, it's been nothing but the ground game for the Wizards, and they've done it successfully, having started at their own 29-yard line. They're at the Middletown 47, first and 10. Martello's going to keep the football. He gets by Armel Duke, and Martello still on his feet inside the Middletown 30-yard line. Armel Duke did a nice job of getting in the backfield, but by the time he did, Martello was already 10 yards downfield. 15-yard gain on the carry for Vincent Martello, the senior quarterback for the Wizards, and he's got them on the Middletown side of the field on the doorstep of trying to regain the lead here in the second half. Pekovic up the middle, more running room, sheds a couple of tackles, still on his feet, gets inside the 10 all the way down to the 5-yard line. Some nice running for Middletown. Some nice running for Washingtonville, I should say. Luke Pekovic. 21 yards all the way to the Middletown 6-yard line. First and goal, Washingtonville. They're down by 5. 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Martello from the shotgun. He's going to keep the football. And Martello into the end zone. Touchdown. An impressive drive by Vincent Martello and Luke Pekovic, all on the ground. 71 yards on the drive. 71 yards on the drive, culminated by the 6-yard run by Martello. Washingtonville this time will try for their own 2-point conversion to try to make this a 3-point lead. Martello from the shotgun. He's going to keep the football. Looked like he had room on the outside, but turned it up inside, and the 2-point conversion fails. So with 29 seconds remaining in the third quarter, Washingtonville regains the lead 9-8 on Middletown. At least a little bit more bearable of a game to watch in the third quarter, with the Middletown defense really waking up and coming up with a safety that led to a short field after the free kick by Washingtonville for the Midi Bears, culminating on a beautiful touchdown pass of 9 yards from Howell to Naquan Dolson. Dolson having received a 31-yard pass on a beautiful one-handed catch earlier in the drive that gave Middletown its first lead of the night at 8-3, but Washingtonville has responded on a 71-yard march down the field, all via the ground game by their quarterback, Vincent Martello, as well as their running back, Luke Pekovic. Hopper in to kick from his own 40-yard line. Brownridge on the near side. Dolson on the far side, getting ready to receive the kick. It's a long kick. Brownridge still with the football at the 25-yard line before he's brought down. Good coverage by the Washingtonville special teams on the long kick from Hopper. 21 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Middletown trailing in the game 9-8. Midi Bears have 1st and 10, their own 27-yard line. And they'll look to do what they haven't done so far, and that's a long drive in this football game. Their touchdown came on a short field. And also a safety, the two Middletown scores. Washingtonville has scored on a field goal and just recently a touchdown on a long 71-yard drive. Handoff up the middle. Robert Denson, his first carry of the evening. They're going to give him 3 yards to the 30-yard line. 2nd and 7, and that'll be the last play of the third quarter. So a little bit more of an exciting third quarter than it was in the first half. If you recall, the halftime score was Washingtonville leading Middletown 3-0. The Midi Bears got on the board first in the second half. A Tyshawn Moody blocked punt at the Washingtonville 5 resulted in the ball going out of the back of the end zone and giving Middletown its first score, a defensive safety, making the score 3-2. And then after the free kick on a short field, Dalton Howell and Naquan Dolson really connecting on a couple of passes, one a one-handed 31-yard reception, and that was followed up by a 9-yard beautiful reception in the back of the end zone by Dolson. He was interfered with on the play as well. The Middletown 2-point conversion failed. It gave the Midi Bears an 8-3 lead, their first of the night. But Washingtonville, to end the third quarter, marched down 71 yards, all on the ground to retake the lead 9-8 after their 2-point conversion failed. And that's where we start the fourth quarter. 2nd and 7, Middletown from their own 30. Inside handoff to number 2, still on his feet, does a nice job of getting a couple of extra yards. Number 2, Jacoy Harvey. He gets all the way to the 34-yard line. Needs to get to the 37. 3rd and 3 for Middletown on a big third down play. They're actually going to mark him at the 33. So it'll be 3rd and 4. And a big third down play coming up for Middletown. 2 receivers on either side for Howell from the shotgun. Straight back to pass over the middle. It's deflected and intercepted. Coming down with the football at midfield for Washingtonville is number 10. Cecil Brownridge was the intended receiver. It was deflected by one of the Washingtonville linebackers that had the ball go straight up in the air. And William Cooper comes down with the football near midfield, and the Wizards not only stop the Middletown drive, but give their offense 1st and 10 at midfield, looking to extend their 1-point lead. The Middletown defense being asked to do a lot in this ball game. Martello from the shotgun for the Wizards is going to throw the football. He's got a receiver at the 45, still on his feet inside the Middletown 40 and down to the 35 is Ryan Hendricks, number 34. He's finally brought down by Jaheim Turner, but not before it's a first down for Washingtonville at the Middletown 35-yard line. 1st and 10, Martello for the Wizards from the shotgun. Pekovic on his left. He's got the football. A nice job this time. Pekovic has had a beautiful evening. But this time, number 33 for Middletown, Tyshawn Moody comes up to make the stop. 2-yard gain. to the 33-yard line. 2nd and 8, Washingtonville at the Middletown 33. Martello up the middle, had a little trouble with the snap. Does gain 3 yards down to the 31. It's going to bring up 3rd and 6. Third and 6 for Washingtonville from their own 31-yard line. They need to get to the Middletown 25 to extend this drive. Martello from the shotgun, Pekovic to his right. He's got 2 receivers on either side. He's going to hold on to the football, and a nice job by number 42 of Middletown, Brandon James, sniffing out the Martello attempt to run. It's going to bring up 4th down. A loss of 5 on the play. It's going to bring up 4th and 9 for Washingtonville at the Middletown 34-yard line. 9 minutes remaining in the ball game. Middletown down by 1. Wizards going for it on 4th and 9 from the Middletown 34. Martello straight back to pass. He's got a heavy rush but gets away. He's got a receiver, and it goes through the hands of number 34, Ryan Hendricks. Hendricks not only had the reception, he had himself a touchdown that really would have put the pressure up on Middletown, but instead the Midi Bears live another play. They'll take over on downs, 1st and 10 at their own 39-yard line. And will Ryan Hendricks think about that pass when he goes to sleep tonight? 8:27 remaining in the ball game. Midi Bear fans looking to see if somewhere along the line somebody can make a play for Middletown. Naquan Dolson is the inside receiver on the near side. He's been the star so far tonight. And they give it on the reserve. Back to Howell. He fumbles the football. Washingtonville trying to recover. It's a scrum on the far end, and Washingtonville has recovered the football. Coach Strenfield trying to come up with a little trick play deep in his own side of the field. The double handoff. Dolson couldn't control the second part of the handoff as he tried to pitch it back on the flea flicker to Howell, and Howell could not come down with the football. 1st and 10, Washingtonville deep in Middletown territory at the 11. Pekovic with the handoff, but the play's blown dead by a flag. Here's the call.
Got a neutral zone infraction by the blue team, going back 5 yards.
So the repeat first down after the illegal procedure by Washingtonville. So it's going to be 1st and 15 for the Wizards at the Middletown 17-yard line. They need to get to the 3-yard line for a first down. Middletown's trying to defend both against the first down and also the touchdown here. Martello is going to keep the football. Rosa almost had him, but at least held him up enough for number 42, Brandon James, to make the final stop. Martello gains 2 yards on the play. Actually, they're going to give him a no gain on the play. Oh, they're going to give him a yard to the 16. So 2nd and 13 for Washingtonville at the Middletown 16. Leading in the ball game 9-8. A big game for both of these teams to keep their playoff hopes alive. The losers' season will not include a playoff appearance. Martello back to pass. He's got a receiver through the hands again of Ryan Hendricks. His second drop pass in a row. Third and 13 now. Middletown trying to come up with a really good defensive play, and if they can come up with even a sack here to drive Washingtonville out of field goal range, that would be preferable for the Midi Bears. 3rd and 13 for the Middletown 16 for Washingtonville, and Martello, who goes straight back to pass. Looking over the middle, and it's incomplete. Nice job. Number 36 was the intended receiver for Washingtonville, David Zalewski. 4th down, and they're going to try a field goal here. It'll be a 33-yard attempt for Adab Hopper. He's got some distance. Let's see if he's got the accuracy from 33. Kick is up. It's got the distance. It is good. So a big field goal by Hopper of Washingtonville extends the Wizards' lead to 12-8 with 7:07 remaining in the game. And Middletown in need of a touchdown if it wants to keep its playoff hopes alive for another week. Again, the Midi Bears have been unable throughout the evening to put together a long drive. We'll see where this kick from Hopper ends up once it's returned by the Middletown kick returners. Ryan Rosa, number 89, will be at about the 25-yard line. On the far side will be Cecil Brownridge, number 80, and on the near side, Naquan Dolson, number 13 for Middletown. Hopper will be kicking from his own 40. 7:07 remaining in the game. Washingtonville leading Middletown 12-8. Brownridge and Dolson are near their own 10-yard line, trying to give Middletown some good field position. Long kick by Hopper. Brownridge takes it at the 5. He's at the 10, the 15, trying to get outside, but some good coverage by that Washingtonville special teams. Number 22 for the Wizards, Brandon Goodwin with the stop, and Middletown will take over. There's a late flag. There are a couple of flags, and Cecil Brownridge out of control for the Midi Bears. And that's going to cost Middletown some important yardage unless he was instigated. We'll see what the officials will call here. But there were several flags thrown. Coach Strenfill out to see what the official's talking about. Here's the official's call.
A personal foul, number 80 on White. He is ejected from the game.
So Cecil Brownridge at an important juncture of this game commits the personal foul and is ejected. He had returned the football back to the 20-yard line. And the penalty will cost Middletown half the distance back to the 10-yard line, and is also going to cost them one of their top receivers for the last 6:55 of this ball game at a time when they need some offensive prowess. Middletown down 12-8, 6:55 remaining in the ball game. Chambers to the right of Dalton Howell from the shotgun. They're at their own 10-yard line. They'll have to go 90 yards if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. Howell straight back to pass, looking over the middle downfield. Number 89 almost comes down with the football. Ryan Rosa had it in stride. A nice pass that time by Howell, just off the fingertips at the Middletown 40. 2nd and 10 for the Midi Bears from their own 10. Two receivers to either side. Actually, one on the near side. Rolling to his right is Howell, looking downfield. He's got a receiver. That's Green at the 30-yard line, and he's finally pushed out of bounds at the Middletown 34. Two straight nice passes by Howell, one incomplete, but that one a connection. Number 24, Cameron Green comes down with the football. 1st and 10 Middletown from their own 34-yard line. 6:40 remaining in the game. Midi Bears trailing it by 4. Ryan Rosa on the near side. Naquan Dawson, Cameron Green now moves over to the near side with Rosa, leaving Dawson all alone on the far side of the field. Howell gives it to Chambers. A bad exchange between the two. It's going to cost them some yardage. Chambers loses 3 on the play to the 31. It's going to bring up 2nd and 13 for Middletown from their own 31-yard line. So far, it looks like if Middletown wants to pull this game out, it's going to be on the shoulders of Dalton Howell and the fingertips of Naquan Dawson. 2nd and 13 Middletown, their own 31, trailing by 4, 6 minutes remaining. Back to passes Howell. He's going long towards Dawson, and he overshoots Dawson. Good coverage on the play by William Cooper of the Wizards. 3rd and 13 for Middletown, 5:48 remaining. Chambers to the left, the lone running back for Middletown. Howell from the shotgun, straight back to pass. He's got some time, downfield. Tried Dawson on the right side, who was double covered. And I think Washingtonville, from a secondary standpoint, is not going to try to let Dawson beat them. There is a flag on the play. It might be it looks like the Washingtonville coach is declining it, so it's against the Midi Bears.
We have holding, number 2, White. That's declined.
Jermaine McCray, number 30, in to punt the football for Middletown. Number 4 for the Wizards is Terrence Snyder. A bad snap. McCray finally comes down with the football and gets rid of it. Takes a Middletown bounce, actually. But Washingtonville is still going to take over in Middletown territory, 1st and 10 at the Mitty Bear 48-yard line. A high snap by McCray. And really, we've seen that all night long. Bad snaps on the shotgun. And bad snaps on the kicking game. 5:26 remaining. Both teams have 3 timeouts, but the Wizards, more importantly, have a 4-point lead. Martello, the handoff inside to Pekovic. Gets it to the 46-yard line, picks up 2 on the play, 2nd and 8 for Washingtonville. Jermaine McCray in on the stop for Middletown. Martello, 2nd and 8 for Washingtonville from their own 46-yard line. Martello's going to keep the football, but there is a flag on the play. It looks like motion. We'll wait for the official call. It'll cost Washingtonville 5 yards.
White captain. Where? What? White captain. Got procedure against blue, going back 5 yards.
So that'll cost Washingtonville 5 yards. Bring the football back to the Wizards' 49-yard line. It's going to make the play 2nd and 13 with 4:35 remaining in the ball game. Washingtonville leading by 4. The Wizards need to get to the Middletown 38-yard line to get a first down. Martello from the shotgun. Straight back to pass. Big rush by Middletown. Martello does find some time. He's got a receiver, but a nice play by number 45 of Middletown, Josh Popoka. Number 18 for Washingtonville, Shane Sanner, was the wide receiver. Third down and 13 for Washingtonville, again from their own 49-yard line in a game where they lead by 4 with 4:23 remaining. Middletown trying to get a second opportunity here, or a final opportunity to try to pull this one out here at Fowler. Martello from the shotgun, straight back to pass. Looking for a receiver downfield. He had some time. Coming down with the football, a beautiful catch is Ryan Hendricks, who's been snake bitten by drop passes here in the second half. He did not drop that one with Josh Sam of Middletown all over him. He comes down with the football at the 35-yard line. More importantly, a new set of downs for Washingtonville with 4 minutes remaining in the game, and the Wizards holding on to a 4-point lead. Motion by the receiver. Hendricks makes the catch, and now he gets the penalty.
Illegal procedure against blue, going back 5 yards.
That'll make it 1st and 15 for Washingtonville from the Middletown 40-yard line. Once again, the clock's running, 3:45 remaining in the fourth quarter, with the Wizards leading Middletown 12-8. Martello. Armel Duke bringing him down after a couple of yards. Brings it down to the 38-yard line. They need to get to the Middletown 25 to extend this drive. They're now at the 38-yard line, so second down and 12. For Middletown. Back to passes Martello. Looking downfield, had a lot of time, and Hendricks comes down with the football just short of the first down marker. The clock will keep running. He's a yard short, 3rd and 1. .226 remaining, a humongous 3rd down here for the Middletown defense. Probably 4-down territory from Washingtonville, although Hopper made a nice field goal his last possession. This time is being kept. There's a flag on the play. This is going to be a big call with this flag. Flag on the play. We'll see if it's a holding call against Washingtonville. They are talking to the Middletown captain. And it's going to get marked off a humongous.
Got a hold. 75 blue. We're going back 10 yards. We're going to repeat the down.
Humongous call here against Washingtonville on the hold. And instead of getting a first down on the Martello run, it's 3rd and 10 for the Wizards. The clock running at 2:07. Martello from the shotgun. And now there's a timeout to be called by Washingtonville. They obviously did not have a play called.
I'm a little surprised Middletown didn't use a timeout earlier. They still have 3. Now we're inside 2 minutes.
1:58. Let's set the table here for you here at Fowler. 1:58 remaining in the game. The Wizards lead Middletown 12-8. A Middletown loss this evening will bring the Middletown Middies to 1-4. It'll give Washingtonville a 2-4 record in the division. Washingtonville, Middletown, and Kingston all fighting for that last playoff spot. Kingston plays at Pine Bush and next week to finish off their divisional opponents. 3rd and 10 for Washingtonville. Martello going to keep it. He's brought down by number 22, Sean Rosa, and immediately timeout is called by Middletown. 1:48 remaining. It's going to bring up 4th down. An interesting call here for Washingtonville. Do they go for it on 4th down, or they try to punt the football and pin Middletown deep in their own territory and make them go 90-plus yards to win the ball game? This does not completely eliminate Middletown from playoff contention if they lose this evening. However, it would likely take them out of controlling their own destiny, because there is a possibility that Washingtonville, Middletown, and Kingston all end up with 2-4 records if Middletown were to win next week and Kingston lose. All 3 teams would have a 2-4 record, and the tiebreaker would be point differential between games between each other. Middletown was +6 on that. Right now they're losing by 4, so they would be +2 in that scenario. I believe Washingtonville lost to Kingston by 3. If they were to beat Middletown, they would be, by this score, they'd be +1. And Kingston, having lost to Middletown by 6 points, but beat Washingtonville by 3, would be +3. So Middletown may still, believe it or not, eke it out even with a loss, but the Midi Bears would rather control it with a win next week if they can hold up, try to come back here in this game. Martello straight back to pass, looking for the end zone to put the nail in the coffin. He's got Hendricks. Touchdown, Wizards. A lot of time, Martello buying time, a nice job. Finally throwing it on one-on-one coverage. Hendricks got away in the far corner of the end zone. 36 yards. Martello to Hendricks. A tough third quarter by Ryan Hendricks has been turned around by a touchdown pass here that really puts it away for the Washingtonville Wizards pending the extra point. And more importantly, that's going to give Washingtonville a point differential advantage. The extra point is good. And that gives Washingtonville probably a point differential advantage in case there were a 3-way tie.
One more reason for Middletown to go for that extra point perhaps would be how important every point is in this football game. And as Midi TV and Middletown graduate Ed Estrada just pointed out, with the late tiebreakers that could decide the fourth seed in the playoffs, every point is going to count.
That touchdown
And I'll tell you what, Washington
probably gives Washingtonville a plus side in a
in the head-to-head matchups with Kingston and Middletown as it stands right now, and Middletown be facing a bad deficit in that.
Washingtonville lost to Kingston by 3. They're now up by 11, giving them a +8 in the point differential. The Midi Bears, having won by 6 points at Kingston, now losing by 11, puts them in a negative position in point differential. And Kingston right now, I believe, would have a +3. So Washingtonville in a tiebreaker, if Kingston were to lose to Pine Bush next week, would give the Wizards that 4th spot. And they were the 3rd team looking in, coming into this evening's action. Hopper with the squibber. And Dolson trying to get away, does some shimmying. He does a nice job trying to get away, but the special teams for Middletown and the Midi Bears might not even realize it, but even if they can put up a touchdown here, that might actually, it may mean nothing for this game, but you don't know mentally if Middletown's aware that point differential might come into play here for the playoffs. A minute 27 remaining in the game. The Wizards, with that late touchdown, lead it 19-8 here at Fowler over Middletown. Howell straight back to pass over the middle. He finds Dolson at the 33-yard line. He's still on his feet, trying to reverse course to the near side. And he's brought down to the 35. The clock will stop for the first down with 1:11 remaining in the game. Clock restarts. Middletown up at the line. Howell from the shotgun. Straight back to pass, looking downfield. Ryan Rosa was the intended receiver near the Washingtonville 40-yard line, overthrown out of bounds. 55 seconds remaining in the ball game. Wizards leading at 19-8, 2nd and 10 for Middletown from their own 35. Howell from the shotgun. Chambers to his right, straight back to pass. Howell looking downfield, had some pressure. It's overthrown and come down by guess who? Ryan Hendricks. And Ryan Hendricks, after that tough third quarter's rebounded here. So the Wizards take over after the interception, and a very disappointing loss for the Midi Bears, especially after coming out strong in the second half, getting themselves a safety and a touchdown on their first two possessions, and actually taking an 8-3 lead towards the end of the third quarter, but a 71-yard drive, culminating by the Martello 6-yard touchdown run, really turned the game around for the Wizards. Martello, off the snap, just runs the football straight ahead. Coach Strenfeld opting not to call any timeouts. The clock running with about 30 seconds remaining, and Middletown down by 11. Washingtonville with this ball game will finish up, and that's going to do it as the clock counts down from 5, and Washingtonville with a big win here at Fowler, a home win for them actually, as the game was moved from Washingtonville to Middletown due to the rains that flooded the Washingtonville field. But 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter for Washingtonville, actually one late in the third quarter, has given the Wizards a 19-8 win over Middletown. The Midi Bears heading into halftime down by a 3-0 score. They came out strong in the third quarter, got themselves a safety off the Tyshawn Moody blocked punt that went out through the back of the end zone to make it 3-2 Washingtonville. The free kick gave Middletown a short field on its next offensive possession. And Naquan Dawson with a couple of magical catches. One was a one-handed 31-yard reception, and then a nice tiptoeing reception towards the back of the end zone. A 2-point conversion fail gave Middletown a 8-3 lead. But then on the ensuing offensive possession for the Wizards, they go 71 yards, all on the ground, culminated by a 6-yard touchdown run by their senior quarterback, Vincent Martello. That gave Washingtonville, after the failed 2-point conversion, a 9-8 lead. They added a field goal by Idab Hopper early in the fourth quarter to give themselves a 12-8 lead. And then the final one, a 36-yard touchdown pass to Ryan Hendricks. Martello buying himself some time, and Washingtonville walks out of Fowler with a 19-8 win, and really have put Middletown on the outside looking in at a playoff opportunity. Not sure if they've officially been eliminated, but I think by point differential, they're already behind Washingtonville, and the Wizards have already completed their division, their AA schedule. So I believe next week it'll be between Kingston and Washingtonville on that final playoff spot, and the Midi Bears will not be able to get into the playoffs here in 2018. A disappointing loss for Middletown. We hope to see you out here at Fowler next week at homecoming when the Midi Bears take on the Vikings of Valley Central. Join Christian Farrell and Kevin Gleason from Wall Radio. They'll simulcast the game here on Midi TV. Tonight, your final score from Fowler, 19-8 Washingtonville over Middletown. Ed Estrada signing off for Midi TV. Have a great evening, folks.